Hey, today I'm talking about three iconic Rob Reiner films from the 90s. And the names of those three movies are A Few Good Men, Misery, and The American President. First up is A Few Good Men. This is a 1992 film starring Tom Cruise and Demi Moore and features Jack Nicholson. This was written by Aaron Sorkin, which you can really feel. And the basic premise is one of the soldiers at Guantanamo Bay unfortunately passes away. Everyone's pretty quick to write it off, but one naval lawyer thinks there's something deeper going on. My only complaint with the movie is the music. It's so dated. It's just the antithesis of anything that I like musically. Otherwise, it is a perfect movie. It's so good. Like, I am just blown away with how many incredibly perfect movies Rob Reiner has made over his career. Like, the writing is just so on point. This is peak Aaron Sorkin, especially looking at just like the use of humor in the film, because often they'll do it to simply diffuse tension, which works really well, but it's also used to translate military terminology that lay people may not understand. So like Tom Cruise's character would be like, what does that mean? As kind of more of a joking thing, and then they'll explain it to him and he'll be like, I knew what that meant, but like that was for our benefit if you're really unfamiliar with military stuff. I don't think they get too crazy with terminology. I think I knew like 95% of what they were saying, but honestly that could just be because this film was definitely influential, and so those terms probably just came more commonplace within film and TV after this movie was released. And then too, they use the humor to help us navigate all of the characters, because there's a lot of people and a lot of names going on and you don't always see the names with the faces. So Tom Cruise will make a joke about like, who is that person again? And I'm so glad he did, because I legitimately could not remember who that person was when he would say that. That's really good writing to help us remember what all is going on. Audiences do need their hand held occasionally, especially when there's so many names like this. That's a really helpful thing. But then like the writing is just so satisfying because it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And the end courtroom stuff is so incredible. Like, I remembered how this movie ends. I've seen it once or twice before. The end is so iconic. Like, even if you haven't seen the movie, you're probably familiar with the famous line, "You can't handle the truth." And like hearing that in context and seeing Jack Nicholson deliver it, and just like that whole big final confrontation scene is just like the best payoff. It's so good. The whole thing is worth rewatching over and over again, but like just that end is just like, God damn, it's so good. Time ceases to exist. It's that kind of masterful writing and performances. And like, yeah, I have to obviously shout out the cast. Like, Demi Moore is great. There's so many fantastic supporting actors, but the two big heavy hitters are Tom Cruise and Nicolas Cage. If you haven't seen this and you have seen a lot of Tom Cruise films, he is kind of doing a lot of his classic like cocky asshole who likes to play dumb but is actually really smart and he can get serious type of thing. You've seen that a lot of times. And so like, just know that this is early on in his career and he hadn't quite overdone it yet. And then Jack Nicholson is just this terrifying force. Like, he can be so charming, but then just on a dime switch to you want to run home to your mother and just hide under the blankets type of scary. Like, he is, oh God, he's terrifying. And he's only in this movie for like 4 scenes, which is just incredible. So yeah, no, this is an amazing film that is 100% worth a watch. It's so masterfully written, incredible performances, direction is top notch. The only fault is the music, but it's worth it for the rest of the experience. Yeah, no, love this movie to pieces, 100% recommend it. Next up is Misery. This is a 1990 film based off of a Stephen King novel. It stars Kathy Bates, who won an Academy Award for this, and James Caan. The basic premise is James plays this really prolific writer. He mostly has been writing this old-timey romance series of novels, and he's getting sick of it. He didn't want his entire career to be that. And so now he's trying to branch out. He just finished writing his first non-romancy novel up in the mountains, and as he was leaving, he gets into a car accident, but he was rescued by the most insane fan ever. And then shenanigans ensue. This is definitely an interesting movie, but I feel like I've seen this story played out a lot of times. I'm sure this is probably the originator for a lot of the versions that I've seen, but because I've seen this story played out so much, this one feels so bare bones by comparison. I was kind of waiting for a little bit more to happen, and it wouldn't. Like, it hit a lot of the beats that I was really anticipating. I sort of feel like it's the issue a lot of people have with like Citizen Kane, where like Citizen Kane is regarded as one of the best movies ever. It was so revolutionary. It has inspired so much film and television over the last almost century. But as a modern person watching it, it's a pretty standard story, but that's because they made the standard. Again, I feel like that is what's happened here with Misery, that so many people have grabbed onto this interesting idea of what could a crazed fan potentially do, that when you have the original, it's not that spicy. It is still a good and interesting story. I in particular love James's performance, just because he was so quiet all throughout, and you could see him really contemplating and trying to analyze the situation as best he could. Kind of like, I don't know if this is the best comparison, but like the velociraptors testing the fence for weaknesses in Jurassic Park. Like, it's that sort of vibe. Like, he's just trying to figure out, okay, how can I escape this situation? And that was really interesting. Kathy Bates, I didn't entirely grab onto her character. I can definitely see what the Academy saw back in the 90s, but again, I think that's kind of where I was missing the extra spice. So yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed the film. It's a quite liked for me, so that's basically a 4 out of 5, but it just didn't hit me as well as I'm sure it would have had I been the same age back in 1990, or had I not seen so many other versions of the same story. Would I recommend it? I'd say yeah. If you're curious about it, if you've never checked it out before, I think it is still worth a watch. Just keep your expectations in check, because it probably won't blow you away. But it's definitely not a bad film by any means. So yeah, no, it's a nice little film that I would kind of cautiously recommend. And lastly is The American President. This is a 1995 film, again written by Aaron Sorkin, starring Michael Douglas and Annette Bening. And the basic premise is Michael plays the American president. He is a widowed father, and one day he stumbles across this plucky, no-nonsense Annette Bening who really puts him in his place, and he gets charmed by her. So the whole film is just about what would happen if the American president tried to date someone. Now, this is definitely an interesting story, like a fun what if. And at its core, it has this really difficult moral conundrum that I don't feel like it fully resolved. And it's that there is a ginormous power dynamic issue, because she is a lobbyist and he is the literal president of the United States. Like, yes, they interact a lot, but like, he is in a different world than she is. And like, they do their best to make them feel more equal, because I mean, they cast frickin' Annette Bening. She is a powerhouse. She could easily fit in any of the most intense rooms. She can hold her own. And they made Michael Douglas very charming, and they turned him into a little schoolboy occasionally, like struggling to ask her out and getting flustered by her and stuff. But again, at its core, he is the leader of the free world, and she's just a lobbyist. Like, it's leagues different. I could not get over that initial power dynamic issue. It's like the warden of a prison hooking up with one of the inmates. Like, there's just no getting around. There is a huge gulf in this relationship, no matter how much you paint around it. Not saying I need the American president to like date a foreign diplomat, a princess, or what have you, but it just doesn't work for me. And I know there are American presidents who have been single and have dated while in the office. I don't really know much of their story, but also that hasn't been a thing for a very long time. Dating the president in modern times is considerably different than dating the president, you know, like 100, 150 years ago. So yeah, I don't know. know. I liked it. I thought it was fine. I always love Aaron Sorkin's writing. The cast was good. It was still an interesting story. It just never conquered that initial issue for me, and because of that, it definitely tainted the experience. So I liked the film. I'd only kind of cautiously recommend it. It wasn't bad by any means, but yeah, I don't know. It was all right. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got A Few Good Men sitting at number 7 in the really like section, just behind When Harry Met Sally. I debated for so long if it should be above or below because they're just both such incredible films, and I'm still not even entirely sure if I put it in the right spot, but that's where it lives for now. So number 7, just below When Harry Met Sally. And then after that is Misery sitting at number 36 in the quite like section. And then bringing up the rear is The American President sitting at number 49, again in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 90 old movies so far this year.